True Romance feels like a violent fairy tale. It's got shootouts, true love, and somehow a happy ending. But Tarantino's original version was much darker. Let's slip on those Elvis sunglasses, grab a double chili cheeseburger, and find out what this film could have been. Spoiler alert for this film. It's built on Quentin Tarantino's DNA, but it's so playful and it's shot in such a colorful way. That's because Tarantino sold the script to director Tony Scott, known for films like Top Gun and Beverly Hills Cop 2. Before Reservoir Dogs made Tarantino famous, the raw material that would lead to True Romance came from an unfinished story by Roger Avary called The Open Road, or Pandemonium Reigns. Tarantino reworked that material into a much larger crime road movie, and pieces of it eventually split off into his other films. He worked on an amateur film called My Best Friend's Birthday in the 1980s that was never completed. By then, Tarantino realized the script had become too complicated and unwieldy. He felt it deserved not one, but two movies. In the original script, the character of Clarence is writing a film about a violent couple of lovebirds named Mickey and Mallory. Tarantino felt this couple story was too interesting to just be a subplot. Their story became the basis for Natural Born Killers. So these two films are like conjoined twins, separated at birth. The True Romance script was sold to Tony Scott, and Natural Born Killers went to Oliver Stone. Tarantino sold these two scripts to fund his directorial breakthrough film, Reservoir Dogs. True Romance is Tarantino's idea of a modern fairy tale. Clarence is Tarantino's personification of his idealized self. A slick-talking, Elvis-loving, badass maverick with a gun. Alabama is the call girl with the heart of gold. Clever, sassy, and fierce. Alabama is hired to spend Clarence's birthday with him, but what starts as a setup turns into the real thing almost instantly. Clarence hears the voice of his mentor, a mental image of Elvis, asking him if he can live with himself. He has to go confront her pimp, a scarred and dangerous maniac named Drexel. Alabama begs him not to go, but he says,
"That's all."
Shh. Listen. You don't know him.
No, you don't know me. Not when it comes to shit like this. I need to do this. I want you to know that you can count on me to protect you.
Despite being outmatched and outgunned, Clarence kills him and wins Alabama's freedom. He grabs the wrong suitcase on the way out, a suitcase filled with uncut bags of cocaine. The young couple are now on the run, hoping for a windfall payday, unaware that the mafia are one step behind them. True Romance is a drug-fueled, profanity-laced roller coaster ride of a movie that never slows down. The cast is a blend of veteran actors and undiscovered talent that seems impossible these days. Christopher Walken, Dennis Hopper, Gary Oldman, Brad Pitt, and James Gandolfini. Gary Oldman listed Drexel as one of his favorite characters. And a practically unknown James Gandolfini kills it, no pun intended, as the sadistic hitman Virgil. The Christopher Walken-Dennis Hopper standoff scene is a work of art. No argument there. And it's been referenced a million times in a million videos. But there's another scene that gets overshadowed that was slightly different in the original script. That scene is the showdown between Alabama and Virgil in the hotel room. Virgil waits for her to return so he can recover the cocaine. In the original script, Virgil is hitting Alabama with cartoonish flying kung fu kicks and spinning roundhouses. The script even calls him Mr. Karate Man. Gandolfini is a great actor, but flying kicks were probably out of the question. His portrayal of Virgil doesn't feel like an action villain. He feels like a real predator. What we get in the film is a barbaric, slow and deliberate beating that's painful to watch. It feels much more Tarantino, reminiscent of the torture scene from Reservoir Dogs. Alabama never wavers, and even after she's beaten bloody, she flips him off with a smile. She outsmarts him by playing cute and patiently frustrating him until he explodes. He throws her through a glass shower door, and she laughs at him.
Hey, what the fuck are you laughing at?
You look ridiculous!
And when her chance comes, the mask falls off and she attacks, bashing him with a toilet lid until it shatters. Then she shoots him, screaming like an animal as she does. When the shotgun runs dry, she continues to beat his lifeless body. She has gone completely feral and only stops when Clarence holds her and she collapses in his arms. Tarantino's script actually says, "There is a ferocity in women that comes out at certain times, and it's just there under the surface in many women all the time. The absolute feeling of helplessness she felt only a minute ago has taken a 180-degree turn and turned into, I'll take this motherfucker with me if it's the last thing I do, seething hatred." That scene took 5 days to shoot and is still hard to watch, but it's so well done. The whole movie is filled with standout performances and great scenes. We feel like we're sitting in the backseat of Clarence's big purple Cadillac, hanging on for dear life. No, it doesn't have the rough edges of Reservoir Dogs, or the nihilistic pessimism of Natural-Born Killers. Tony Scott really put his colorful sunshine LA vibe on the whole production. It's one of those ideas that shouldn't work, but it just does.
Quentin is a very rare animal, yeah. That what he does, he brings a reality to these people with a sense of humor. And it's very difficult to find a writer who can give you darkness and humor together. You know, you either get one or the other. There's very few writers in the world today who have that ability to give you both things at once.
All flavors of violent crime are on display, but it's like one of Clarence's comic books come to life. I've read reviews that criticize the film as too action-heavy with no real substance. I disagree. We feel for Clarence and Alabama, two lonely, hard-luck kids who were lucky enough to find each other in all this chaos. Painting these characters in such a detailed way makes them feel real, and we root for them to come out not only safe, but together in the end. And that's where the Tarantino and Tony Scott stories differ. Tony Scott's film finds Clarence and Alabama caught dead center in a Mexican standoff, with no escape. Clarence attempts to sell the cocaine to an LA movie producer. Everything's going according to plan. The producer is eating it up. He thinks Clarence is hilarious. Soon he and Alabama will be $200,000 richer and ready to run off to Cancun. What they don't know is that the director's assistant is working with the LA police and wearing a wire. The cops are ready to break down the door at any second. And none of them know that the drug cartel has found them and is on the way up to kill them. The cops burst in the room and start barking for everyone to get their hands up. They're under arrest. Then the mafia goons kick the door open and rush in. Guns are pointed in every direction. Everyone is panicking and yelling at each other. The room erupts in an orgy of blood and gunfire. Cops and gangsters blasting each other without mercy. Clarence is in the bathroom being congratulated by his mentor, another mental image of Elvis, and he's unaware of the chaos. Alabama's caught right in the middle, too scared to move. Clarence exits the bathroom, gun drawn, and is immediately shot in the head, blood erupting from his eye. Alabama screams at the sight and crawls to his side. She kills one of the DEA agents and shakes Clarence, begging him to wake up. She grabs a suitcase of money and they ride off into the sunset. A beautiful little epilogue sees them on the beach in Cancun. Clarence is wearing an eye patch as they walk through the sand with their little boy Alabama has named Elvis. A wonderful yet totally Tony Scott ending. Quentin Tarantino's vision for the couple was much darker. Tarantino's version begins the same way, right up until Clarence walks out of the bathroom. In this version, Clarence exits the bathroom and he's also shot in the forehead. He goes down with blood pooling in his eye. Alabama crawls like a soldier across the floor to him. She reaches him while he's still alive and tries to resuscitate him. Clarence says that he cannot see her with blood in his eyes. Then tragically, he dies in her arms. She finds his gun and comes out of the bathroom like a banshee. She guns down multiple people in the room, cops and mafia alike. grabs the suitcase full of cash, and breaks for the door. She races down the highway in Clarence's car until she's overwhelmed with grief. She pulls over with tears streaming down her face. She puts the gun in her mouth and pulls back the hammer. Then she sees a napkin she gave Clarence that says, "You're so cool." She throws the gun aside and opens the trunk of the car. Taking only the Sergeant Fury comic book he gave her and the suitcase of money, she walks away. That was the original ending envisioned for Clarence and Alabama. It's colder, harsher, and much closer to the Tarantino crime story we've all been accustomed to. Tony Scott went so far as to film both endings. Tarantino's original ending that killed Clarence, and Scott's more optimistic, romantic version. That darker ending survives as an alternate version you can find on the Blu-ray release. Scott ultimately chose the happier ending because he saw the film as a fairy tale romance. Tarantino initially resisted the change, but after seeing Scott's completed movie, he admitted the ending worked better for the film that Scott had made. Of all the films he wrote but did not direct, this is one of Tarantino's favorites. And my take? I love the Tony Scott version, and I'm glad they ended up together. Killing Clarence after watching the two of them cheat death so many times seems inconsistent with the earlier story. Tarantino's original script actually starts with this quote: "When you're tired of relationships, try a romance." And who doesn't love a good romance? Which ending do you prefer and why? Would Tarantino have done it better? I'll bet you a damned if I know to a diddle-eyed Joe that this movie still holds up today. Let us know what you think down below, and check out our other videos right here.